What's up, YouTubers? This is your boy Big Metroid Fan 12 coming to you with another video game review. And in this review, I'm going to talk about the game Final Fantasy X X2 HD Remaster, which was released on the PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC by Square Enix. And this game is pretty much a compilation HD remaster version of the two games, Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X2, which were released on the PlayStation 2 during its life cycle. And of course, these were released as standalone games when they came out originally on the PlayStation 2. You know what I'm saying? And essentially, the plot of both games pretty much remain the same. You know, with Final Fantasy X, the plot is that uh, Titus, I guess how you would pronounce his name, was transported to Sparta after his encounter with a creature called Sin. And in Final Fantasy X2, Yuna is searching for some spirits that leads her to Titus, who is, of course, the protagonist in Final Fantasy X and everything. Now, for the sake of this review, I'm going to put more emphasis on Final Fantasy X, half of it, because when I purchased this particular HD remaster on the Nintendo Switch, I tried to download Final Fantasy 2X, but with no luck because when I went to the eShop, it just wasn't available to download for some reason. But if it is available for download in a later time, I'll go do it. I'll go download it and do a like a part two, as it were, concerning the Final Fantasy X2 part of it. You know what I'm saying? Now with Final Fantasy X, there's essentially like 15 main missions and 12 side missions within the game, you know what I'm saying? Which, and honestly, it makes it rather lengthy considering that Final Fantasy is known for being an RPG and everything, you know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't surprise me it would take like, I don't know, 110 hours to actually beat all the missions that I mentioned, you know what I'm saying? And besides the main character, you can also play as other characters like Yuna or Roku and Seymour and other characters like Lulu and different characters like that as you meet them and stuff like that. Now, the type of weapons and spells that each character can use would depend on which playable character that you're using, because some of the characters, like say Titus, is pretty much as good at melee attacks. Then you have characters like Yuna and Lulu who are good at doing magic and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So when it comes to fighting the enemies, you better more rely on the magic spells that those two use and the melee attacks that like Titus uses to defeat them and stuff like that. Now, you can also equip the different characters with various weapons. You know what I'm saying? But I would like advise to equip them with specific weapons that's pretty consistent with what type of stuff that they do, whether it's like melee attacks or spells and stuff like that. Now, are given like different text box that's within the game that's pretty relevant to different enemies and spells and weapons that's going to be available to you and stuff like that when you were in a particular battle and stuff like that, and they'll tell you specific things what you're able to do, like with your first encounter with Sin, they'll tell you that were able to do like long distance attacks against that particular enemy and stuff like that. Plus, each enemy that you face within Final Fantasy X will depend on where you are, you know what I'm saying, whether you're out on sea or on a particular island and stuff like that. Because when I first encountered seeing on the boat with Una, Titus, and all the other characters, I had to fight him on a boat. You know what I'm saying? Because Sin is apparently a sea creature. Now, you also have like a overdrive meter. You know what I'm saying? That you fill up through fighting various enemies through the course of the game, and once you fill up the overdrive meter for one of the characters, you can release a particular devastating attack, and the attack is based on their abilities, whether it's melee attack or magic spells and stuff like that. And you can essentially buy different items like potions and Phoenix Down and cures and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Then the game has some spear grids where you can move and use different spears in specific nodes and stuff like that, and it will help them in with their magics and magic spells and different things like that. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much making them stronger and everything like that. And of course, each character got their own abilities. You know what I'm saying, related to their melee attacks and magic, and they have their own specific abilities and stuff. So you don't have to worry about seeing any copy and pasting. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much, like I said, with Final Fantasy 2, is pretty much downloadable. You, like I said, with that, you need eShop, PlayStation Network, or Xbox Live to download that. But I'm not gonna spend too much time on that and everything. Now, with Final Fantasy X, the graphics and design are very good with some excellent color palette. You know what I'm saying? You can see like every color and everything. Now the controls and gameplay are pretty good. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much the random attacks are not as tedious as they are with the Pokemon franchise. You don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about the random attacks every 5 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And I like the turn-based aspect of it too, and everything. Even though I'm not the biggest RPG fan and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Now the soundtrack is pretty good and everything. And it's kind of like if you like the soundtrack to the original versions of Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy X2, you know what I'm saying? Of course, both the X games on the PS2, you're most likely gonna like the soundtrack to Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X2, HD Remaster, and stuff like that. The only gripe, if you call it that I got is the cutscene. The cutscenes go on a little too long for my liking, but that's uh, a minor gripe in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It set up some good character development though. You know what I'm saying? Now to me, Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X2 HD Remaster is a good compilation remaster game. You know what I'm saying? And I would pretty much recommend it to anybody who is a Final Fantasy fan and anybody who never played it but they're interested in these two games. You know what I'm saying? If they never played the original on the PlayStation 2, you know what I'm saying? Now, as far as the score, I definitely give it a 9 out of 10, you know what I'm saying? Because it's pretty much good from an overall standpoint, you know what I'm saying? It's just that the only thing is downloading X2 can be a pain in the butt if you're able to get it, you know what I'm saying? With that being said, you can sound off in the comment section about Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X2 HD Remaster, whether you like X or X2, you know what I'm saying? You can talk about the the differences in the gameplay, differences in this version versus the standalone originals and all that. And if you like this video, don't hesitate to click the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification button. This is your boy Big Metroid Fan 12 signing off, and I will do like a part 2 sort of for Final Fantasy X2 portion of it if I'm able to get it from the Nintendo eShop. Until then, I'm signing off.